Today's podcast is brought to you by Quantrix Modeler Introductory Training, teaching the fundamental foundation that you need to become a Quantrix master. Go to quantrixauthority.com to learn more.
Show me how you do Quantrix.
Hey, welcome back to another netcast. I'm Rich Lopez, Quantrix Authority. Sincerely appreciate you joining me today for episode number 209, Internal Concatenate Function. This is in response to a question sent to me at quantrixauthority@gmail.com by Joey and Shashank. These are some gentlemen that I met last or 2 weeks ago at Quantrix Dimensions Conference. Fantastic meeting them. I hope to meet all of you at the Dimensions Conference next year in 2018 in Portland, Maine. Anyway, I absolutely love the question that Joey and Shashank are asking me. I think their question is really demonstrating their understanding that you can do more in Quantrix than you can do in just a two-dimensional traditional spreadsheet. For example, they have here some matrix that has a department, has a project name, has a year, and certain items across the top. And with it, they have a formula that has job codes in it, and they say if the department I'm on equals this and the project name equals this, then what I want to do is I want to assign some sort of job code that has this prefix and some value here, or the row ID as my value concatenated, right? But if my department is equal to corporate and my project name is equal to this, then I want a different prefix to go on top of my row number or precede my row number. So the question was, how do I optimize this? Or maybe better yet, how do I get it so I don't have to hard code in maybe this combination of sysops and sysops infra to have this prefix? Because I don't know, maybe this is volatile. Maybe it's going to change. Maybe my project name isn't always going to be the same. So I don't want to have to go and update it here in the formula. I want it to be dynamic. How can I do that? Well, you still have to update it, I suppose, but if you're like me, I don't ever like to hard code anything into my formulas right here. I like to put them in matrices, and I like to identify them as maybe setup matrices or input matrices, okay, so that when I come back to the model, I'm not necessarily pecking through or hunting through lots of different formulae trying to figure out logic and making sure that lookups are correct if maybe some things have changed in maybe department codes or product names or whatever the case may be. I want to have a matrix where really all of these inputs and all this setup is living instead of out in various formulas. So what I would recommend, how I would optimize this and get rid of this hard keying of this information here, is I would simply create another matrix, and that's what I've done here. And I've added a couple items to it, one of which is department and the other which is project name. Now these correspond to the project item or category over here and the department over here. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and simply constrained input by right-clicking on the column and going to constrain input. Let me try that again. Going to constrain input and then selecting my category for department L1 here. Okay, and I did that also for my project name. So what I want to do is I want to kind of create this mapping over here and say, well, if the department is sysops and my project name has this type of project name, then go ahead and let's use this code. Again, I need to color that blue because that's a user-defined input that upon setup or upon updating the model, I need to make sure that all these combinations or this mapping is current. So that's why I leave it in blue. It just reminds me that, hey, this is a user-defined input. Also, I would do the same thing with the combination of corporate and core P here and assign the code to be used here. Now, how do I do a multiple column lookup though? Because I need to look up my department, I need to look up my project name, and I need to look it up across two different items or two different columns here. How can I make that happen? Well, I learned this trick at Quantrix Seminar by the Sea before it was called Dimensions back in 2016 by the select master Ben W. at Quantrix. He taught us about an internal concatenate. And simply what I'm going to say is job codes are equal to, I want to bring back my code use over here, right? And my key list is going to be really both department and project name. Now I could concatenate these with an ampersand and some sort of separator, but you can also use something called internal concatenate. You will not find this in the help menu. I guess this is like the secret menu at your favorite restaurant. This is maybe your secret menu item on your favorite modeling tool, also known as Quantrix. Anyway, I go internal concatenate. What do I want to concatenate? I want to concatenate department and project name. I go ahead and I close that. Now my lookup value has to be also this department and this project name concatenated. So I'm just going to simply write internal concatenate, and I'm going to say at department, and then I'm going to say at project name. I'm going to go ahead and I do that. I close my select, and you can see that when I'm at corp and I'm at corporate, I should see corp P here in my codes. If I were to go ahead and I were to change this to sys ops, I would expect to see nothing here because I haven't defined it. Or also, if I then change this to sys ops here, I would then expect to see sysinf here. So Shashank and Joey, that's how I would optimize this switch statement. So I wouldn't have to hard code in a bunch of this kind of criteria here within my formula or logic within my formula. I would have it living out here in just some sort of input or setup matrix. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. I hope you enjoyed internal concatenate as well, of course. I encourage you to try that out, see what exactly it's doing using your dependency inspector. It's just kind of mashing two fields together and putting I think a colon is a separator in there, and Quantrix is able to understand that. So it's a great way to create a concatenated lookup value, if you will. Anyway, if you have any questions about Quantrix, I do hope that you reach out to me at quantrixauthority@gmail.com. I absolutely love Quantrix. I want to make you a Quantrix master.